The underestimated vanguard. The stars glittered like scattered diamonds against the void as Captain Maya Reeves stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiant, her weathered hands gripping the command rail. The holographic display before her showed the 5 ships that comprised humanity's vanguard fleet, small, utilitarian vessels that looked distinctly out of place among the sleek, massive warships of other galactic species. They had been called many things by the alien civilizations they'd encountered: quaint, primitive, obsolete. But Maya knew better. What these aliens saw as limitations, humans had transformed into advantages. Status report, Maya called, her voice cutting through the ambient hum of the ship's systems. Lieutenant K. Nakamura glanced up from his console, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the tactical display. All systems nominal, Captain. The Dorjan fleet has altered course. They're heading toward the Centauri outpost, just as intelligence predicted. Maya nodded, a grim smile playing at the corners of her lips. The Dorjan Empire had been expanding aggressively through this sector for the past 3 cycles, consuming resources and subjugating worlds with brutal efficiency. Their technological superiority made them arrogant, a flaw that humanity was finally ready to exploit. And they still haven't detected us? Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. Earth's scientists had developed a passive cloaking system that didn't rely on the energy-intensive methods used by other species. It was simpler, more reliable, and virtually undetectable to standard scanners. Negative, Captain. They have no idea we're here. Key's voice carried a hint of pride. Their communication chatter suggests they're proceeding with standard occupation protocols. Maya turned to face her crew, each member representing the best Earth had to offer. They weren't just soldiers. They were engineers, scientists, and problem solvers. Where other species specialized their military personnel, humans cross-trained. Every person on this ship could handle multiple roles if needed. Adaptability that had kept their species alive through countless crises. Communications, patch me through to the fleet, Maya ordered, straightening her uniform jacket. A moment later, she addressed the captains of the 4 other ships. This is Captain Reeves. The Dorjan fleet is proceeding exactly as anticipated. Remember your training and trust your instincts. Humanity didn't come this far to be another footnote in someone else's history book. A chorus of affirmatives responded, each captain's face showing the same determination that Maya felt burning in her own chest. They all knew the stakes. Earth had barely survived first contact with the galactic community 50 years ago, thrust into an interstellar society where humans were considered technological infants. While other species had thousands of years of spacefaring experience, humanity had scrambled to catch up, repurposing their primitive technology in ways that the established powers never considered. Captain, the sensor officer called out, interrupting Maya's thoughts. We're picking up a transmission from the Dorjan fleet. It's being broadcast openly, not encrypted. Maya frowned. Let's hear it. The bridge speakers crackled to life, filling the room with the deep, resonant voice of Archon Zarek, the Dorjan fleet commander whose reputation for ruthless efficiency was matched only by his contempt for lesser species. Attention unidentified vessels. Your attempt at concealment is futile. Our advanced systems detected your energy signatures the moment you entered this sector. Your primitive technology betrays you. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated in accordance with Dorjan occupation protocols. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Maya's mind raced. Had the Dorjans developed countermeasures to their cloaking technology? Or was this a bluff? Tactical analysis, she demanded. Lieutenant Commander Darius Ellis, a veteran of 3 previous engagements with Dorjan forces, studied his console intently. They're scanning blindly, Captain. Wide-spectrum suites. If they actually knew our position, they'd be deploying more focused scans. Maya nodded slowly. They're fishing. They suspect something but don't know what or where. She tapped her comm badge. All ships maintain position. Radio silence. Let them think they're talking to ghosts. The Dorjan transmission continued, growing more condescending with each message. Your outdated vessels pose no threat to the might of the Dorjan Empire. We have encountered your kind before, species who believe their clever tricks can overcome superior technology. They all serve the Empire now. Maya watched as the massive Dorjan warships continued their advance toward the Centauri outpost. The flagship, a colossal vessel nearly 2 kilometers in length, dwarfed their entire fleet. Its hull gleamed with the distinctive iridescent material that made Dorjan ships nearly impervious to conventional weapons. Nearly, but not completely. They still have no idea what we're capable of, Maya murmured, more to herself than her crew. She turned to her first officer, Commander Elena Rodriguez. Initiate Operation Thunderclap. Phase 1. Elena nodded grimly and began issuing orders. Throughout the fleet, human engineers activated the systems that had been developed in secret over the past decade, technology that appeared rudimentary to alien eyes, but concealed innovations that no other species had thought possible. The core of their strategy relied on what the galactic community considered humanity's greatest weakness, their reliance on obsolete electromagnetic weapon systems. While advanced civilizations had moved to gravitic weapons and energy beams, humans had continued refining technology based on simple physics, projectiles, explosives, and the electromagnetic spectrum itself. All ships report ready, Captain, Elena announced after several tense minutes. Phase 1 systems are hot. Maya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Earth's future in the galactic community would be defined by what happened in the next few hours. If they failed, humanity would likely be subjugated, relegated to a footnote in galactic history. If they succeeded, begin the approach, she ordered. Maintain emission control protocols until we reach Point Alpha. Then we show the Dorjans exactly what primitive technology can do. The 5 human ships drifted silently through space, their navigation systems operating on passive sensors alone. The Dorjan fleet, still unaware of the true threat approaching them, continued their arrogant broadcasts. Your silence confirms your fear. Wise, but ultimately futile. The Empire welcomes new subjects who recognize their place in the Grand Order. Maya allowed herself a small smile as her fleet closed the distance. The Dorjans, for all their advanced technology, had fallen into the oldest trap in warfare, underestimating their enemy. An hour later, the human fleet reached Point Alpha, optimal attack range for their unconventional weapon systems. Maya stood at the center of her bridge, surveying the tactical display one final time. The Dorjan ships floated before them, their defenses oriented toward the Centauri outpost rather than the seemingly empty space behind them. All ships, this is Captain Reeves. Disengage cloaking systems and power up main drives. Weapons free. As one, the 5 human ships shimmered into visibility, their engines flaring to life. For a moment, there was no reaction from the Dorjan fleet. Then, frantic communication chatter erupted across the frequencies. Unidentified vessels detected at bearing 240.15. Classification: unknown. Size and configuration suggest. Wait, these can't be right. They appear to be human vessels. The disbelief in the Dorjan operator's voice was palpable, and Maya could almost picture the confusion on the alien faces as they registered the presence of ships they considered technologically inferior. The Dorjan response was predictably arrogant. Several smaller vessels broke formation, turning lazily toward the human fleet. Their movements conveyed a casual dismissal, like swatting at insects. Human vessels, Arkshan Zarek's voice boomed over the comms again, tinged with amusement. You surprise us with your boldness, if not your wisdom. Your technology is generations behind ours. What do you hope to accomplish here besides your own destruction? Maya opened a channel. This is Captain Maya Reeves of the Earth spaceship Defiant. We're here to demonstrate exactly what human ingenuity can accomplish. The Centauri system is under Earth's protection. Withdraw your forces immediately. Laughter echoed through the comms. Deep, alien laughter that sent chills down the spines of several bridge crew members. Protection. Your species barely understands the principles that power our smallest scout ships. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your hulls would shatter under our lightest barrage. This is not bravery, human. It is suicide. Maya closed the channel and turned to her tactical officer. Target their lead destroyer. Activate the HEMP systems. Throughout the human fleet, specialized electromagnetic pulse generators powered up. Technology that looked deceptively simple but had been refined through decades of research. While other species had abandoned electromagnetic warfare as obsolete, humans had perfected it. HEMP systems charged and ready, Captain. Lieutenant Commander Ellis reported. Fire. There was no visible beam, no dramatic explosion, just a precisely modulated burst of electromagnetic energy that washed over the approaching Dorsian destroyer. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the destroyer's engines flickered and died. Its graceful approach became an uncontrolled drift. Direct hit, Ellis exclaimed. Their primary systems are offline. Secondary systems failing. They're running on emergency power only. The remaining Dorsian vessels halted their advance, clearly reassessing the situation. What had appeared to be primitive human warships had just neutralized one of their destroyers without firing a single conventional weapon. All ships, target the second wave of destroyers. HEMP bursts on my mark, Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The Dorsian flagship began to turn, bringing its main batteries to bear on the human fleet. They were taking the threat seriously now, but Maya had anticipated this response. They're charging weapons systems, Ellis reported. Gravitic cannons powering up. Maya nodded. Execute evasive pattern delta. Launch countermeasures. From the hulls of the human ships, dozens of small objects erupted, spreading out in a cloud formation. To Dorsian sensors, they would appear as simple debris, or perhaps primitive missiles, easy to intercept or ignore. In reality, each contained a quantum resonance disruptor designed to interfere with the precise calculations required for gravitic weapons targeting. Dorsian weapons discharge in 3, 2, 1. The space between the fleets lit up as massive gravitic beams lanced out from the Dorsian warships, only to twist and disperse harmlessly as they encountered the field of quantum disruptors. Countermeasures effective, Ellis reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. Their targeting systems are trying to compensate, but the disruptors are working exactly as designed. Maya allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before refocusing on the battle. Second wave HEMP attack. Fire. Another pulse of invisible energy swept across space, engulfing 3 more Dorsian vessels. One by one, their systems failed, leaving them drifting helplessly. The remaining Dorsian ships began to pull back, their previous confidence shattered by weapons they couldn't understand, technology they had dismissed as primitive and ineffective. They're regrouping, Lynn observed, studying the tactical display. The flagship is taking the defensive posture. Maya nodded. As expected. Now we move to Phase 2. She opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships prepare for kinetic strike deployment. Target the flagship's shield generators. This was the moment that would define the engagement. HEMP attacks had neutralized the smaller vessels, but the Dorsian flagship systems were too heavily shielded for electromagnetic pulses alone. For this, they needed something more direct. Another primitive weapon that the Dorsians had long dismissed. Simple, physical projectiles, enhanced with Earth's most advanced materials science. Kinetic strike platforms deployed, reported the weapons officer. Accelerators at full charge. Around the human fleet, magnetic accelerator rails extended from concealed compartments, each loaded with projectiles made from ultra-dense composite materials. Another technology that appeared deceptively simple but represented the pinnacle of human engineering. Fire. The magnetic accelerators discharged simultaneously, launching dozens of projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The kinetic energy contained in each was staggering, enough to overwhelm even the advanced Dorsian shields through sheer physical force. On the tactical display, Maya watched as the projectiles crossed the space between the fleets in seconds. The Dorjan flagship's defensive systems tried to intercept them, but the sheer speed and number made it impossible to stop them all. Multiple impacts flashed across the flagship's shield grid. For a moment, the massive vessel seemed unaffected. Then sections of its shields began to flicker and fail. "Direct hits on primary shield generators," Ellis announced. "Their defensive grid is collapsing." Maya leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the display. "Prepare for final assault. All ships concentrate EMP systems on the flagship's command center." As her orders were relayed across the fleet, a transmission cut through the comms. Archon Zurek's voice had lost its arrogant tone, replaced by a mixture of disbelief and grudging respect. "What manner of weapons are these? Your technology was assessed as primitive, generations behind our own." Maya allowed herself a grim smile before responding. "That was your first mistake, Archon. You judged our technology by your standards, not by its effectiveness. Humans don't abandon working systems just because something newer comes along. We perfect what works, and we find ways to make it work better." There was a long pause before Zurek responded. "You have proven your point, Captain. Perhaps we have underestimated humanity's capabilities." "You certainly have," Maya replied. "Now about that withdrawal from Centauri space." As the human fleet maintained their positions, weapons trained on the crippled Dorjan flagship, Maya felt a surge of pride. Humanity had been dismissed, mocked, and underestimated by the galactic powers for decades. Today, that changed. Today, the galaxy would learn that humans didn't need the most advanced technology to be formidable. They just needed to use what they had in ways no one else had imagined. And this was only the beginning. The reckoning. Archon Zurek's voice crackled through the comms, the usual Dorjan confidence replaced by wary calculation. "Your demonstration has been instructive, Captain Reeves. But do not mistake tactical surprise for strategic advantage. The Dorjan Empire did not become the dominant power in 3 sectors by yielding at the first sign of resistance." Maya exchanged glances with Commander Rodriguez. The Dorjans weren't surrendering. Not yet, but they had bought time, forced a reassessment. That alone was a victory few had thought possible. "We're detecting power fluctuations in their flagship," Lieutenant Nakamura reported, eyes fixed on his scanner readouts. "They're attempting to reroute systems through secondary pathways. Estimate full shield recovery in 17 minutes. Maya nodded, her mind racing through scenarios. The hemp attacks had proven more effective than even their simulations predicted, but they weren't a permanent solution. The Dorjans were already adapting. "All ships, maintain combat stance," she ordered. "Prepare second wave of kinetic strike platforms. We need to keep pressure on their shield systems." As her crew rushed to comply, Maya studied the tactical display. The disabled Dorjan vessels drifted helplessly, their crews no doubt working frantically to restore power. The flagship, though wounded, remained the central threat. A massive vessel housing over 10,000 Dorjan crew and soldiers, with weapon systems capable of reducing planets to molten slag. "Captain," Communications Officer Layla Hassan interrupted, "we're receiving transmissions from the Centauri outpost. They're cheering us on." A small smile played at the corners of her lips. "Several other species vessels in the area are sending messages of support." Maya allowed herself a moment to absorb this. For decades, humanity had been dismissed as newcomers, their opinions ignored in galactic councils, their territories considered ripe for exploitation by more advanced civilizations. This single engagement was already shifting perceptions. Tactical update. Lieutenant Commander Ellis called out. "The Dorjan flagship is launching fighters. 40 craft, approaching in attack formation." The bridge crew tensed. Fighter craft were immune to the large-scale EMP attacks that had disabled the capital ships. Their smaller, independently powered systems could withstand the electromagnetic pulses that had proven so effective against the larger vessels. "Deploy countermeasures," Maya ordered calmly. Activate point defense systems. From concealed compartments along the hulls of the human vessels, smaller weapons emerge. Another technology that most galactic powers had abandoned centuries ago in favor of energy shields and deflection fields. Simple, automated guns loaded with hypervelocity projectiles, guided by predictive algorithms that had been perfected through centuries of warfare on Earth. Dorsian fighters entering range in 15 seconds, Ellis reported. Maya nodded. Let them come. The Dorsian fighters streaked toward the human fleet, their sleek, predatory forms designed to inspire fear. They moved with unnatural precision, executing maneuvers that would kill any human pilot, but they followed patterns, mathematical formulas that could be analyzed, predicted, and countered. Point defense systems tracking targets, Ellis confirmed. Firing solutions locked. The moment the Dorsian fighters entered optimal range, the human vessels opened fire. Thousands of hypervelocity rounds erupted from the point defense systems, filling space with a lethal web of projectiles. The Dorsian pilots, accustomed to facing energy weapons that could be evaded or deflected, flew straight into the barrage. The results were immediate and devastating. Fighter after fighter disintegrated as multiple rounds tore through their hulls at velocities their shields weren't designed to stop. Those that survived the initial barrage broke formation, trying desperately to evade the relentless storm of projectiles. 17 confirmed kills, Ellis reported, his voice tight with concentration. Remaining fighters attempting to regroup at coordinates 227 Mark 45. Maya studied the tactical display, noting the Dorsian fighters' new formation. They're adapting their approach. Prepare for concentrated attack on our flagship. Sure enough, the surviving fighters wheeled around, forming a tight wedge aimed directly at the ESS Defiant. It was a classic Dorsian tactic, decapitation strike aimed at eliminating enemy command. All ships maintain fire discipline, Maya ordered. Let them come to us. As the Dorsian fighters closed the distance, Maya gave the order she'd been waiting to use. Deploy Harbinger drones. From the Defiant's launch bays, dozens of small, unmanned craft emerged, another technology that appeared deceptively simple to alien eyes. While other species had developed massive, artificially intelligent drone systems, humans had perfected small, semi-autonomous swarms controlled by human operators. Harbinger drones deployed and active, reported Lieutenant Aisha Patel, the drone coordination officer. Her fingers danced across her neural interface as she directed the swarm, engaging hostile fighters. The Harbinger drones intercepted the Dorsian fighters, surrounding them in a cloud of smaller, more agile targets. What the drones lacked in firepower, they made up for in numbers and unpredictability. Human operators, thinking creatively in ways AI systems couldn't match, directed the drones in patterns that defied computational prediction. One by one, the remaining Dorsian fighters were destroyed or forced to retreat, their pilots unable to counter tactics they'd never encountered before. Fighter screen neutralized, Ellis reported, unable to keep a note of triumph from his voice. Minimal damage to our fleet. No casualties. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, quickly silenced by Maya's raised hand. This isn't over, she reminded them. The flagship is still active. Indeed, the massive Dorsian vessel had used the fighter attack as cover to complete emergency repairs. Its shield grid was stabilizing, and weapons systems were coming back online. They're preparing to fire main batteries, warned Ellis. Gravitic cannons charging. Maya had anticipated this. Execute evasive pattern Echo. Deploy remaining quantum disruptors. The human fleet broke formation, each ship following randomized vectors that would make targeting more difficult. Meanwhile, the last of their quantum disruptors spread out between the fleets, creating a field of spatial distortions that would interfere with the Dorsian targeting systems. The Dorsian flagship fired, massive beams of gravitational force lancing through space. Most dispersed harmlessly against the quantum disruption field, but one struck a glancing blow against the frigate ESS Intrepid. Intrepid reports moderate damage to port sections. Communications relayed. Shield generators holding at 60% capacity. No hull breach. Maya nodded grimly. The Intrepid had survived a direct hit from a weapon that should have vaporized it. Proof that their reinforced hulls, another primitive technology that other species had abandoned, still had value. All ships, prepare for final assault, Maya ordered. Load special package kinetic strikes. This was the culmination of humanity's secret weapons development, projectiles that combined simple kinetic force with something the Dorgians couldn't detect or defend against, adaptive nanomaterials designed to target specific systems upon impact. Special package kinetic strikes loaded and ready, weapons confirmed. Maya took a deep breath. Target their primary power distribution nodes. Fire. The magnetic accelerators discharged again, launching the specialized projectiles toward the Dorgian flagship. On impact, the nanomaterials would disperse through the ship's systems, disabling power distribution without destroying the vessel itself. The Dorgians, now aware of the threat posed by kinetic weapons, activated their point defense systems. Energy beams lashed out, intercepting many of the projectiles, but not all of them. Multiple impacts registered on the flagship's hull, each precisely targeted at vulnerabilities identified by years of intelligence gathering. For several tense seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then, section by section, the massive vessel began to go dark. Direct hits confirmed, Ellis reported, his voice tight with excitement. Power failures cascading through their systems, weapons offline, life support switching to emergency backup. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Open a channel to Archon Zurich. When the Dorgian commander's face appeared on the view screen, the change was striking. Gone was the arrogant certainty, replaced by a mixture of disbelief and grudging respect. How? He demanded, mandibles clicking in agitation. Our intelligence reports classified human technology as at least 2 centuries behind Dorgian capabilities. Your intelligence was focusing on the wrong metrics, Maya replied calmly. You measured advancement by how far we'd moved away from primitive technologies. We measured it by how effectively we could use every tool at our disposal. Zurich's compound eyes narrowed. These weapons, they're unlike anything in our databases. Because you abandoned these paths of development millennia ago, Maya explained. Electromagnetic pulse weapons, kinetic strikes, point defense systems. Your people decided they were obsolete and moved on. Humans took those obsolete technologies and perfected them, finding applications your scientists never imagined. A thoughtful silence fell over the communication. When Zurich spoke again, his tone had shifted from hostility to curious respect. The Dorgian Empire has encountered many species in its expansion, he said slowly. Some fought with courage, others with cunning, but none have ever defeated a Dorgian battle group with technology we dismissed as irrelevant. He straightened, his posture formal. The Empire recognizes strength, Captain Reeves. Perhaps humans deserve more consideration than we have given them. Maya maintained her composure, though inside she was elated. This wasn't just a tactical victory. It was a diplomatic breakthrough that could change humanity's standing in the galactic community. Then let's discuss terms, she proposed, starting with the immediate withdrawal of all Dorgian forces from the Centauri system and recognition of Earth's protection over this sector. The negotiations lasted hours, with Maya refusing to yield on key points despite Zurich's attempts to salvage some advantage from the defeat. By the time they concluded, the Dorgians had agreed to withdraw from not only Centauri space, but 2 neighboring systems as well, with formal recognition of human territorial claims. As the disabled Dorgian vessels were towed away by their remaining functional ships, Commander Rodriguez joined Maya at the view screen. You realize what we've accomplished today, don't you? Elena asked quietly. This changes everything. Maya nodded, watching the Dorgian fleet retreat. For decades, they've seen us as primitive newcomers to be exploited or ignored. Today, we showed them, showed everyone, that humanity isn't to be underestimated. The reports are already spreading through subspace channels, Elena confirmed. 3 different ambassadors have requested immediate audiences with Earth's diplomatic corps, species that wouldn't even acknowledge us last week. Maya smiled tiredly, and all it took was proving that sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. In the days that followed, the impact of the battle spread throughout the galactic community. Species that had dismissed humans as technological infants now sought alliances. Trade negotiations that had stalled for years suddenly progressed. And in the chambers of the Galactic Concord, humanity's representatives found themselves welcome to discussions previously closed to them. 2 weeks after the engagement, Maya stood in the observation lounge of the Defiant, watching as technicians installed upgraded systems based on the battle data. Earth's engineers were already incorporating lessons learned, refining their primitive technology further. Admiral Terrence Chin, commander of Earth's defense forces, joined her at the viewport. The Dorgians have formally requested a technology exchange program, he informed her, barely containing his amazement. They're particularly interested in our electromagnetic warfare systems. Maya smiled. Ironic, isn't it? The technology they mocked is now what they want to learn. That's not all, Chen continued. 6 other species have approached us with similar requests. Apparently, our outdated approach has made quite an impression. He handed her a data tablet. The Defense Council has approved your promotion to Commodore. You'll be commanding a new task force, our first diplomatic military joint mission to the Galactic Core. Maya accepted the tablet, scanning the orders with a mixture of pride and determination. They won't underestimate us again. No, Chen agreed. I don't think anyone will make that mistake twice. As Maya returned to the bridge of the Defiant, she felt the weight of what they had accomplished settle on her shoulders. Humanity had overcome not just the Dorgian threat, but something far more insidious. The assumption that newer always meant better, that progress only moved in one direction. The crew stood at attention as she entered, faces bright with pride and purpose. They had proven that human ingenuity, the ability to take existing tools and use them in ways no one had imagined, was perhaps the most advanced technology of all. Stations, everyone, Maya ordered, settling into the command chair. We have work to do. Outside, the stars beckoned, no longer distant points of light governed by powers that dismissed humanity, but a frontier where humans would forge their own path, not by abandoning their roots or desperately trying to mimic more advanced species, but by embracing what made them unique. The ability to see value where others saw only obsolescence, to find strength in simplicity, and to never ever stop innovating. The galaxy had laughed at their tiny fleet with its seemingly primitive technology. They weren't laughing anymore.